What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny5 Alive here, and I want to bring you guys a tips and tricks video for The Division. This is going to be a bit of a beginner's guide to navigating the gameplay and leveling up more efficiently, although there will be some helpful tips for everybody. So here we are in the beginning zone. So once you finish the tutorial, you'll be sent over here to Camp Hudson. This is the first general hub area. The hub areas are open areas, and you will see other players running around. There's one right there. That's the actual map. So before you leave, you want to interact with this map here. And it's going to uncover all the local missions for you. There will also be a quest giver who will he will locate all the side missions for you. That's the first tip, making sure you hit the maps and talk to all the people. When you get out into the open world here, you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed and lost by everything. You're going to just start running out here, killing guys, just doing whatever's closest on your map, playing it GTA style or whatever, and you're just going to be going ham on everything. What you should do is open up your map and just kind of get warmed up with the zone awareness. Take a look here how I'm in the zone of level 2 to 4, this zone's 3 to 4, this zone's 3 to 5, and so on. Well, when I was playing the game, I didn't really do anything in any rhyme or reason, and I highly recommend you just get used to staying in your zone until you've completed it. So just be aware that, like, okay, this is zone 2 to 4, I'm going to stay in here and do all this stuff. It's important to know your zones and where you are so that you don't accidentally cross over into a difficult zone and get your butt kicked. You might be heading down this street doing a quest right here, and then boom, all of a sudden you're in Tenderloin. You're getting hit by level 9 enemies and you're only level 4, and you're just getting your brain rattled. You know, that could easily happen if you're just kind of free roaming and exploring. So by having a little bit of map awareness, knowing, okay, I'm doing these areas and it's probably okay if I cross up here because it'll be a little bit more challenging, but I'm okay with that. But you don't want to cross over here because you're just going to flat out die, respawn back here, and you're going to have to run all the way back. It's important to clean out a zone 100% before moving on to the next one, because you will receive various rewards such as blueprints for the highest level of that zone. So if we beat this zone here, we're going to receive some level 4 blueprints by running back and handing in the quest. We're also going to get a nice chunk of EXP for handing in that quest. And we'll also get a mission leading us to the next safe house of the zone. So by beating this area here, you're going to get a mission that sends you to the base of operations safe house. And then by beating this zone, you'll get a mission that sends you over to the Hudson Yards safe house. And by doing that, when you get there, you will get a nice chunk of EXP. Knowing where the base of operations is and why it's important to somewhat rush there. So you want to clean up everything in this zone and this zone. Once you've done all that, you're going to get a quest that sends you over to the Pennsylvania Plaza. And it's important to know that you're headed here and you're going to unlock the base of operations. I would almost recommend skipping any quests that you run into all the way up and just doing the one that unlocks the base of operations. The base of operations is the most important safe house in the game because this is your base. This is where you're going to be getting all of your abilities, all your talents, your skills, and many goodies such as vendors, lootable objects, loot containers, fabrics. You're going to be getting free items every 12 hours. You'll be able to restock your stuff here, and just tons and tons of goodies. And in order to get those unlocks, you're going to be spending a resource that you get from encounters. So when you get there, you can really start planning the strategies that are going into this tips and tricks guide based off of everything that you can do in the base of operations. So you want to understand the map icons. You want to gain an understanding of the various icons displayed on the map so you can prioritize what you feel is worth the time invested. So there's some various icons that you should get familiar with. Safe houses. The first thing you should do in every zone that you go to is find out where the safe house is. Usually you will have a quest leading you to that safe house if you had 100% completed the previous zone, and that's why that was one of my previous tips. So this here is Midtown East safe house. You want to establish where the safe house is on the map. The safe house serves as a community where players can hang out, form parties, buy safe house specific unique items from vendors, restock ammunitions, and it also serves as a respawn point if you die in nearby missions. When you get to a safe house, you want to go here, talk to this guy, and he's going to give you all the side missions, and then you're going to want to find the map and this is going to locate all the various encounters and main missions on the map. So if you're first of all just roaming around the map, you're not going to see an encounter over here. You're not going to see an encounter over here. You might just be walking down this road and not be aware that there's a mission around the corner. So free roaming is actually a really bad way of navigating the game, whereas you could just come to the safe house, get the map, and now I'm able to see, okay, this is the closest mission to me. I'm going to beat that one. I'm going to head over here, then here, and I can kind of do a circle around the map and work my way clockwise around until it's all completed, and then 100% completed that zone. Once you've unlocked the safe house, you will now be able to fast travel to this location, which makes it much easier to get around the map. Moving on to the next section of icons, encounters. Encounters are these green, blue, and yellow triangle markers on the map. These usually are some sort of protect this guy, protect these supplies, rescue these hostages. They're usually themed around that kind of sort of a mission. They all kind of have a special theme to them. These should be your main focus, as they offer the base of operation points to spend on the abilities, the skills, the talent points, and all those special unlocks that I was mentioning that you get from the base of operations. And they're going to allow you to unlock new shops to get you better gear to help you with your leveling, better skills to help you with your leveling. So the next icon that you should be aware of is the side missions. These are the side missions. They're these hexagon type things. These are usually some sort of mini mission. As you could hear there, Lopez was talking about some sort of encounter. They're usually like mini scripted events. They're scaled down versions of the main missions. They usually have some sort of loot crate or elite enemy or champion at the end, something worth going there for, and they are usually a little bit harder than those generic encounters. However, they do not offer you any supplies for your base of operations. I wouldn't put a heavy priority over them. However, they do serve as a good way of getting gear and EXP. So these can also be the most annoying missions if you're going solo, as if you die, the mission will sometimes reset. You will die and respawn back at the base, and you'll have to run all the way back. But hopefully with my tips coming up, that wouldn't be a problem for you, and you should be able to blast through these side missions quite easily. So the last thing on the map to take note of are the main missions. Let me see if I can find one here. So one of these, they actually don't normally look like this. They look like a bigger version of the encounters. They're just bigger icons. Like, I've already beaten all of them, so I can't show you, but this one may have been a big blue triangle, or I think it's a shield. Can't really remember. Yeah, I think it's a shield. So they usually have some kind of corresponding thing that relates to a larger version of the encounter, which means you're going to get base of operations supplies, and these are usually the best. As you can see here, this one is essentially like a zone itself. You go here and it's level designed really thoroughly. It has a lot of detail in there. It has a lot of scripted events. It has lots of little things for you to encounter. It's going to have some crazy boss at the end. I think, I don't want to give any spoilers out, but yeah, there's usually a crazy boss at the end, some fat loot, you get some drops. So that's what the main missions are. They're definitely going to be the hardest thing, and maybe something you want to tackle last. So the next tip I want to give out for the main missions, as you can see, I'm in front of this one here. You can go up to this, and if you push F, you get more information about that mission, and you can actually change the difficulty of that mission. So you can set it to hard, and this is going to give you a significant amount of more credits, better gear. What I've noticed is by playing on hard mode, it changes most of the trash mobs into elites, pretty much all of them. So they're all elites, and it changes all the elites into champions, so yellow type mobs, and then the bosses hit like freight trains, and they are very bullet spongy, hard to kill. So I don't recommend coming here by yourself and setting the mission to hard. I only recommend doing this if you are in a group, and if you are in a group, the party leader is going to have to be the person who activates the difficulty. Once you are level 30, most of these missions are going to have a challenge mode difficulty, which is going to kick your ass. We're about to try those ones tonight, and there's dailies for them. So as you can see, I can replay this mission on hard, and if you were like, oh, I want to do that mission again and farm it for some drops, Well, you might not want to do that because that's going to be something you'll be doing a lot of in the end game. Beat it on hard if you're with a friend, beat it on normal if you're solo, get the loot from it, and move on, as you're going to have plenty of opportunity to replay these missions on challenge mode once you are at the end game content. So the next part of the guide is going to be icons to avoid if you want to be efficient. There are many icons on the map that will consume more than the majority of your time if you ran around collecting them all. You may want to avoid these items, especially if you want to be efficient in leveling, but they do offer some minor benefits, and that's why I'm going to cover it here. So those items are the collectibles. The collectibles are the teal icons, which consist of phone recordings, survival guides, echoes. There's also some drone drops. There's missing agents. So lots of little different things around the map to collect. Probably a good 20 plus of these in each zone. So there's a lot. You can imagine if you ran around collecting them all, it would probably take more time than beating the zone itself. So if you want to be efficient, you may want to avoid collecting all these unless they are right there beside you to pick up along the way, especially if you're playing in a 4-man team and everyone's running about grabbing things. It's going to really slow down the party and people are going to stop having fun. If you are a collectible or a completionist, I should say, I recommend doing this on your own time and just running around later. Collectibles only offer a measly 330 experience points for all of your efforts. However, they uncover some interesting audio bits to listen to, which reveals more information about the world's story. Interesting people, stories hiding in apartments, and you get you're listening to their phone recording of what they last heard of before they died. There's a lot of different neat things out there to find out about these collectibles, little hints and things, and the more of them you get, the more of an understanding you get about the division. So whether you decide to pick them up as you go or collect them later, it's up to you. But if you want to be efficient in leveling, I say avoid them altogether unless they so happen to be on the ground right beside you. You know, like maybe 1 out of every 10 or 1 out of every 7 that I go and collect. It usually leads me to some sort of big ass loot crate, and that loot crate usually has a rare item in it. If you go to collect one of these collectibles, there's something there that kind of makes it worth your travels. Again, if you're going to be efficient, there's way better ways to get equivalent gear while also gaining EXP and money. So it's still not efficient, but if you're one of those people who are like, I have to get them all, there is still a good chance that you're going to get a loot crate or maybe some sort of clothing from a cupboard while you go and hunt these things down. So the last tip, and I'll show this a little bit more in depth when we go into the next section, is the perk here, Intel Discovery. When completing all side missions and encounters in a named zone, reveal all undiscovered intel on the map. So this is going to be a perk that you get through the Base of Operations Security Wing, and this is basically for completionists. When you fully beat all the quests, all the encounters, and all the main missions in a zone, like I have here, it's going to reveal all of the collectibles. So this is a really good thing to have if you're wanting to be a completionist. Don't spend your time wandering around the streets up and down trying to look for all these things. Simply beat all the quests, get the perk, and it's going to reveal them all, and then you can just kind of collect the dots, head to each one, and there you go. Once you get all of them, then you can move on to the next. So the next section of this tips and tricks guide is going to be lootable crafting stores. There are lootable crafting stores on the map which are broken up into electronic parts, fabric parts, tool parts, and weapon parts. These stores are just abandoned buildings, so obviously gun shops and tool shops, electronic stores and whatnot, and you can just go inside of them, scavenge the appropriate items. So I'm in a electronic shop. As you see, I got a yellow, blue, and green. Electronic parts, 3 greens, 2 blues. There you have it. Let's talk a little bit about this. In these lootable crafting stores, these materials, the electronic parts, the fabrics, tools, all that stuff, those are crafting materials that you're going to be using at the base of operations to craft weapons, gear, mods, and armor mods. That's what the materials are used for. They're used for crafting. You may be wondering if these are worth going out of your way for. The short answer to that is no. From my 42 hours of playing, I've only crafted maybe 5 things that were worth my time, then replaced them maybe an hour or 2 later. In the leveling up process, going out of your way to loot these stores is essentially a waste of time. However, I regress. Once you reach max level, level 30, it appears that the best gear in the game is acquired through crafting. So once you max level, these lootable stores, as you can see, will give you much better quality parts. As you saw, I looted that one crate, I got a yellow part. That will never happen to you if you are below level 30. You'll never get yellow parts. You'll mainly just get greens. Whereas I came in here and I got some blues and yellows. In the higher levels, when you start to need to craft the best gear in the game, and you're going to need high level crafting components, then it's going to seem worth it to go out of your way to get these. If you do end up collecting parts, they can be combined up to a higher quality for endgame materials later on. So 5 greens can be combined into a blue, 5 blues can be combined into a yellow, and then those yellows can be used to craft your endgame items. So as you saw, when I got that yellow part from this store, that 1 yellow is equivalent to 25 greens. So by me looting this electronics store, that's equivalent to a low-level player looting 25 electronic stores. So leveling up, it is not effective, it's not efficient to go into these stores and loot them for crafting materials. You can actually go into your gear and you can take something like any piece of gear and you can deconstruct it. And if you deconstruct weapon mods, you're going to get tools. If you deconstruct armor mods, you get electronics. And if you deconstruct any of these 6 armor types, you're going to get fabrics. Weapon types are going to give you weapon parts. So in the end game, the fabrics are going to be the most common because there's tons of different types of armor dropping. It's 6 out of the 11 kinds of drops. The majority of drops are armor pieces. So you can deconstruct all these armor pieces and get tons of fabrics. So even at the end game, it might not be too worth it just to go out of your way to all these fabric stores because you're getting so much armor to deconstruct, whereas you're not getting that many weapon mods and you're not getting that many armor mods. So maybe stopping by an electronics store or a tools shop is going to be worth looting because these are the rarest drops in the game and you're going to need a lot of them. So even in the end game, I would say the only places really worth going to are the electronics and tool shops because you're going to have abundance of weapons and armor to dismantle into parts that you need for endgame materials. Now that you know what all the icons are, you're familiar with everything, so you want to kind of plan your route. And I would go to this one, then this one, then this one, and kind of do a circle or the other way around. If you're in a party, when you're setting this GPS like this, by clicking these different icons, only the party leader can really set the marker. So if I'm in a group with 3 other players and I say, hey, we're going to this encounter, and I set the GPS, they will all see the yellow line. Every single one of them will see the yellow line of where we're planning to go. They'll see that yellow line. However, if they're the ones to set it and they're not the party leader, only they will see the yellow line. And that can get really confusing because one person says, no, I marked it, and people start veering off and going different ways. So make sure that your group leader is a good leader and he's good at kind of being organized and planning the route, and he just kind of sets everything. As soon as the mission's done, he or she opens up the map, says this is the next encounter, everyone sees it, everyone starts running. Nice, quick, organized, slam through the missions. You want to avoid the collectibles, you want to avoid the lootable shops, and just have everybody going from mission to mission, and that's going to make it for the most efficient leveling process, 100%. The last tip I want to give about the map awareness and knowing the map is, we have this big dark zone here. And I'll do a tips and tricks for the dark zone in another video, but it's good to, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what's this dark zone all about? I mean, you can go there, check it out, but the big things to note here is you're not going to get experience points or level up in the dark zone. When you go there, you're going to be gaining dark zone levels, and that's specific to buying dark zone gear. So if you go there at level 16, you're going to stay level 16 for the entire time that you're there. And this is also a player versus player area. There's harder level enemies there. You're going to need a party. I don't recommend going in solo. Based off of all of that stuff, if you want to play efficiently, it's good to avoid the dark zone altogether until you are level 30. So now you're ready. You have all the awareness, the basic tips, the navigation skills to help you get through the levels more efficiently, faster, and get you to that end game content a little bit more effectively. I have one more great tip for you guys before I end this video. Before I do that, I just want to say if you enjoyed this tips and tricks video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe, because if this is well received, I will be starting a combat tips, dark zone tips, and end games tips guide. My final tip of the day is help civilians that are in need. If you see a little scanner going off, a little tiny scanner going off when you pass around civilians, be sure to help them out. Sometimes they need a chocolate bar, sometimes they need a drink, and you give them one of your items and they will be sure to supply you with some sort of loot. Sometimes it's fat loot, sometimes it's clothing. It's usually clothing, and that's how I've gotten majority of my really cool apparel that I like today, that I like to wear. I think I even got this jacket from helping a civilian, and there is a rare chance you can get a weapon skin by doing that. So that's it for my tips and tricks videos, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Johnny5 Alive. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.
They could hear the clapping from the street.
That's kind of fucked up. I'm fucking dying. Just pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. Hey, man.
I got a hat. Very excited.
Oh, wow, look at you.
Hey, like my hat?
Yeah.
I look fucking awesome. My fucking cool hat. Let's go,